Hello folks, welcome to the channel and welcome to the Man Cave. Well, in recent months the market has been pretty much flooded with all these new kinds of smart navigation display systems which allow you, the rider, to put one of these display screens on your motorbike, and then it allows you to mirror what is on your phone onto the screen in front of you. So if you've got an iPhone, it will allow you to use Apple's CarPlay, and if you've got an Android phone, it allows you to use Android Auto onto the lovely screen in front of you, thereby making your motorcycle journey from A to B more pleasurable. So we're talking about a product today from a company that I know very well, INNOVV, and they've very kindly sent to me to review their INNOVV N1 Pro. So it's their 5.99 inch display screen. I'm just going to call it a 6-inch screen. So that's what we're talking about today. We are going to be having an initial first look at the INNOVV N1 Pro. But before we do any of that, I think it's time to roll the intro. Welcome back. So who are INNOVV, if you're asking that question? Well, they've been around for a number of years now, and I've been using them for also a number of years. So I would say, in my humble opinion, they sit at or near the top of the manufacturing tree when it comes to producing this kind of stuff for you and me, the motorcycle user. So I know I've got all the stuff out on the bench already, which we're going to have a look at very shortly, but what I'll do is I will just show you how all the stuff came packaged, and they do package stuff really well. So let's just see how it came packaged and we'll unbox it. So the N1 Pro then, it is a smart system which allows you, the rider, to navigate from A to B using all the functionality of either Apple's CarPlay or Android Auto. And the benefit of the N1 Pro is also that it comes with dual dash cameras for the front and the rear, and they are 1080p. Price wise then, the N1 Pro is going to set you back, at the moment when I made this video, I jumped on the website, it's going to set you back about £305. Then they do an N1 that's going to set you back £265. However, INNOVV have very kindly given me a coupon code, discount code for you guys out there, or girls, or whatever, and if you put in GST 321, then that will give you a 10% discount as well. You're going to get 2 years warranty on their products, and you're going to get free shipping as well. That's if you purchase it from INNOVV.com, the main site. So the differences then between the N1 Pro and the N1, basically the N1 Pro, this one here, that is their 5.99 inch display. I'm going to call it 6 inches. And the N1, it's slightly smaller, so that's a 5.5 inch display. So it is a smaller screen. However, the N1 comes with a parking monitor system. The N1 Pro hasn't got parking monitor system, so if you walk away from your bike and something bumps into it, it hasn't got the facility to start recording and then give you maybe an idea as to who or which car has struck your bike. So the N1 Pro doesn't have that, but the N1 does. Now the N1 Pro also has the ability to, as an accessory, you can purchase the tire pressure monitoring system. So these two little devices here, just pop those on your valves on your bike. So the N1 Pro has that facility, has that option, but the N1 does not allow you to have that option. So I have emailed INNOVV and just asked them to make sure if I was correct in the differences, and they said I was correct. As you can see here on the differences chart, that would seem to be the case. So they do operate on different platforms or something. That's what they said to me. That's why you can't have the parking monitor on the N1 Pro. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Now, when it comes to accessories for your N1 Pro, INNOVV actually do quite a few accessories, and they were kind enough to send me 3 of those accessories. The main one I think you folks are going to be interested in is the tyre pressure monitoring system. Very simple. These 2 things just screw onto your valves on your wheels, and very simply I can just unscrew them, show you what's in there, and there's a battery in there with all the electronic stuff. And then that sends I guess it's a Bluetooth kind of signal to your display, and it will register the tyre pressure. So that it will cost you £70, but put in the discount code GST321 and you get 10% discount. They also do various kind of mounts and stuff, although you get a standard mount with it. We'll show you that very shortly. They actually send me a 1-inch ball head. I had to look on the internet to see what I would do with that. That cost 12 quid. And basically, if you've got the back of the N1 Pro, this part here, that unscrews from behind the plate, and then basically this gets replaced by that, and then basically you can stick that into a bracket on your bike. So they sent me that. I don't think I'm going to use that, but they did send me that. That's £12. And then finally they sent me their arc bracket. This comes in 2 sizes depending on what size you want. So this is the smaller size. That's going to cost you £27. And basically you remove the back bracket here and then put that one on there, replacing all this, and then that will fit on my BMW navigation bar above my TFT display. So that is the arc bracket, 27 quid. So what do we get in the box then? We get a selection of tools to fit all the stuff onto the bike. We get some zip ties for making things nice and tidy. In relation to mounting the cameras on the bike, we get a couple of bags of stuff, various screws and bolts and 3M bits of tape and some brackets to connect the cameras onto the bike itself. That's a very easy job. Then we get 2 dash cams, and there we go. These are aluminium bodied. Listen, nice quality on those aluminium bodies. Nice sign on there, INNOVV. Put it the right way round. Yeah, so nice quality cabling as well. It's all good stuff from INNOVV. So we get the 2 cameras. We get a power supply which is fused. So basically those 2 go to the battery, positive and negative, and then you have a switch live. So you have to find a switch live on the bike, which means that power won't get supplied to the unit until you switch your ignition on. So you need to have a friend who knows what they're doing, or if you know it yourself, or if you know how to do it yourself, no problems whatsoever. So that is the power cable. We also get, let's grab that, we also get an extra length of cable to connect the rear camera to the device itself. So you get extra cabling length there. Then you have the mounting bracket. So if your handlebar, etc., is not of sufficient size, then you can just space it out using these shims. So you've got 3 sets of shims to fit in there, depending on how wide your handlebar is to get the right size. So you've got the mounting bracket there, and then basically then you have your very nice INNOVV 6-inch or 5.99-inch display. It's very nice. There is actually already installed a screen protector, and INNOVV did say when I emailed them that they will be having the screen protectors, if you need to change it, on their accessories list very soon, so you can get those. I think this, from what I've seen so far, that's going to scratch fairly easily actually and mark it. So there is one on there. So there's a screen protector on there already. Quality wise, it's made of a nice quality plastic, and then you have a metal bracket which is dampened on the back with some rubber grommets, I think they're called, if that's the right terminology. And then yeah, you've got the mounting bracket here which will then fit onto there like that. So that's how you mount it. So very nice quality. And then obviously you've got the camera feeds and the power cable going into the back of the unit. In relation to a micro SD card, you can fit a micro SD card in the bottom here, just under the 2 screws with the supplied small screwdriver. And then that gives you access to a USB data port. So if you want to practice with the unit, you can plug your USB, or was it USB-C in the back there, and you can drive the unit in the comfort of your own armchair and just get used to how it operates. So you can power it that way. And then you have a slot for a micro SD card in there as well. And basically that records all your dash cam footage for you to look at later on. And then finally we have a little microphone under here as well. and it's IP67 rated, so it's fairly waterproof, and it's just a very nice product. Well done, INNOVV. And then finally we have a set of instructions, whichever you prefer. In relation to the setup, very straightforward, but I think what we will do is I'll just show you how you can actually use the screen in the comfort of your own armchair, so you can get used to the functionality of the very nice 6-inch display before you put it on the bike, and potentially drain the battery of the bike whilst you're sat there in the garage trying to work out how to do things. So what you can use, I've got over here, I've got a Anchor USB plug, so just plugged into an extension cable, and then I've just got a USB-C cable which will actually go into the bottom of the INNOVV unit once we remove this plate on the bottom. So what that will allow you to do is, with the 5 volts that this supplies, is you can plug it in here, and then you can just sit there and just practice, play around with the unit connected to your iPhone or your Android phone, and just get used to the functionality of this before you fit it onto the bike. So let's go ahead and remove this plate here and plug this in, and we'll fire the unit up. Very simply then, just take the supplied screwdriver, remove these 2 screws, don't lose them, remove this metal plate, and then under here is a rubber seal. Remove the seal, that will give you access to the USB-C port and the SD card slot as well. As you can see, the screws are pretty small, so don't lose them. And then just remove the metal plate, and you'll see when you come to refit it, there's just a recess on here, so the screws actually will sit flush, so it goes back that way and not that way. And then you've just got a rubber seal in here, and then just remove the rubber seal. You might have to get a screwdriver if you haven't got small fingers. So I'm just going to put a small screwdriver in there and then remove that rubber seal. That gives you access to the USB-C port and the SD card slot. SD card will take a maximum of 256 gigabytes. When you come to put the card in later, the card actually goes in that way. So here's the unit. There is no on and off button on the outside of it. There's no buttons on the outside whatsoever. So all you do is take the USB-C plug, pop it into the port, and then it just provides power. So this is a 5 volt supply, so it's not going to be enough to actually power the unit to update and load the new software. We have to do that with the unit sat on the bike. So I've spoken to the technical department at INNOVV, and we've confirmed that's the case, because I couldn't upload the latest software using this power connection method. So this is the home screen, very straightforward. I'm not going to teach you to suck eggs, guys. So you have the tyre pressure monitoring pressures at the front and the rear. Obviously we haven't connected those onto the bike yet. We'll do that again very shortly, and they will be displayed on here. You've got some little icons up here. That's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, SD card, etc. Time, and then whether you want to go to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So that's how we'll connect to my iPhone. We'll use the Apple one, obviously. And then dash cam, the cameras aren't connected, so you're just going to get a blue screen, and then just go home. There we go, let's go home. And then you can replay your dash cam stuff, but there's no SD card in there at the moment for it to read. And then final one is settings. So link show language, so obviously we're in English, clearly. Let's get rid of that. And tire pressure monitoring, so that's where you would go. You can set some various parameters there as well. And Bluetooth, yeah, I think this is just about the type of Bluetooth that it's got, etc. Or if you want to, that might be to do with the tire pressure monitoring actually. So we can't, oh yeah, we can switch that on and off. So I guess we're going to need that for the tire pressure monitoring system. I guess, I'm not sure. And what else was there? And what else? Pressure, so we've had a look at that. Time setup, yeah, you can do all that kind of stuff. Time format, yeah, 24-12 hours. And what else is there? Bluetooth, yeah, we've had a look at that already. And back to settings, and then scrolling through. Brightness, so you can set the brightness low, middle or high. Let's go to high actually. There is no light sensor on here in relation to the going into darkness time. I think that's based on the time that you set on your phone, which then tells the unit what time it is. But there is no light sensor on the unit itself. Screensaver, yeah, okay. So what you can do is set it to a minute, and then the device will go dark screen, and then you just touch the screen again after, in this case, 1 minute, and then the screen becomes active. So there is no functionality at the moment to turn the unit off, but I've spoken to INNOVV, and apparently that's going to be in another software update where they will give you the ability to either turn the screen display off or actually turn the unit off itself. So if you're just going to nip down the shops, you don't want the screen on, or you just don't want the screen on, you're not using it, there will be apparently the ability to do that in a later firmware update. Format the SD card. There's no SD card in there at the moment. And what else have we got? Sorry about this, guys. Yeah, factory reset. So factory reset is very self-explanatory. And so the software at the moment, so I haven't got the latest software on here. This is the software that we have got. So we'll update the software, but you cannot, as I've just said, you cannot update the software with this temporary supply. This is only 5 volts. It's not enough power to drive the software update bit, apparently, according to the technicians. So we'll see if they are correct, because I've not been able to update this software using this method at the moment. So hopefully put it on the bike and we can update the software. So you have been advised and warned. I skipped over this one, folks. That's the link show. I've got no idea what it is. I suspect it's something to do with the cameras, as it says front and rear, but when I find out what it is, I'll let you know. What we're going to do now is connect the N1 to my Apple iPhone 14 Pro Max. It's going to take about 60 seconds or so using the detailed instruction guide from INNOVV. Very simple then, folks. Go and switch your Bluetooth on, switch your Wi-Fi on, then go to Settings and then scroll down to General and then look for Apple CarPlay. There we go. And then the phone is going to talk to the unit itself and it should find it very shortly. So it's found it, so it's just asking me to pair Bluetooth pairing, so I'm going to pair it and now say about the allow contacts and favorite syncs. I'll allow that, so there we go. So it will now come up on the screen. It should change to CarPlay. So it's got Y-Play as well, so there we go. It has found the Apple CarPlay. Here we go then, Apple's CarPlay screen. Very quickly go through it then. So on the left hand side, you've got an information bar, time, signal strength from your phone, battery level of the phone, and the last 2 or 3 icons you have used from Apple's CarPlay apps. And then you can just switch to a multi-display screen with the bottom button down here. Scrolling through, these are all the apps that I've got on CarPlay. And yeah, it scrolls very nicely. And this little button here, you can actually put your finger on it and move it to wherever you want, and if you touch it, that gives you access to the volume, to the cameras. The cameras aren't connected, so it goes to blue screen. Hit the interconnect, and then the default position, actually when you come out of CarPlay and then back in again to CarPlay, for this little device, this button here is this position here, so I'm going to put it back there. So tap on there, so you've got screen brightness as well, so you can just, oops, do that again, so you can just adjust the screen brightness as well depending on what you want. So that's what that button does. But if you come out of CarPlay, the default position is down here. There is a home button there that you can use to go home and then back into CarPlay. Phone wise, yeah, just tap on it, you've got your phone numbers, etc. Back again, Apple Maps, all fine. And in fact, Apple Maps there, you can just zoom in, zoom out, etc. Very good. Back to the main screen, and then music wise connected to my Cardo Pack Talk, and yeah, so there we go. That's the music coming through. I won't put it on for too long in case I get a YouTube strike. There we go. So that's that all works well. Now in relation to the brightness of the CarPlay screen, I'm sure you all know this, but if you didn't know it, you can go to settings, and then normally it's set to automatic, so over night time the screen will go dark when you're using CarPlay. But if you're in the daylight and you like to have a dark screen, then you can go always dark, and then when you go back to your home page, everything is darker. Or you can just select the always show dark map. So there are several things you can do there in relation to screen brightness, but then you can also have the option to use the sliding bar on here as well to adjust the brightness of the screen even when it is in dark mode. So that's how you can change the brightness of the screen or the darkness of the screen if you didn't know. I guess you want to know how good is the screen when it comes to using it with a pair of gloves. Well, first off, the screen is very nice, bright and clear. I do like the screen actually. So these are the only gloves I have. They're Rucker summer gloves. They've got those special bits for touchscreen use for your phones and whatever on there. So, and the other three fingers haven't got anything on them. So just to give you an example, this is actually one of the nicest screens for glove functionality I have come across. So there we go. So yeah, it just works really well, nice and smooth. Very happy with that. And then just looking down here, touch there, yeah, all works well. And the phones as well, yeah, good. Just touching the sidebar here. So yeah, it's very, very good. It really is. And then going over to that finger, the touchscreen option on the fingers there, music wise, and cue the music in the helmet. I don't know if you can hear that, but it all works well. So yeah, INNOVV, you've done a good job when it comes to screen sensitivity with a glove. Like it, nice. The N1 Pro uses a capacitance touchscreen like the iPhone, like the CarPlay, like the Chiggy. So come wet weather, sometimes these screens will just do things on their own because the raindrops mimic you touching the screen. So let's see how the INNOVV N1 Pro copes with a little bit of rain. So let's cue the rain. And there we go. So it's acting like all the other screens, not doing anything any different to what I would suspect to happen. But can you still use it? Let's have a look. Yep, still all good. That's coming through the phone. Yeah, still works well. Like all the other products on the market, it does also suffer potentially from the effects of heavy rain on the screen. But it's not the end of the world. It is really unlikely that you are going to get heavy hose pipe rain, which is going to affect the screen. Normal rain, I suspect, will not be a problem. However, what I would like to see would be a lock function on the screen, just in case you do encounter any heavy hose pipe rain. So maybe that's something that INNOVV may be able to do in a software update at a later stage. Next then comes the all-important installation of this beautiful 6-inch screen onto your motorbike. So in my case, it's going to go onto my BMW R1250GS. I'm going to cheat a little bit just for speed. I've already got a system on there and I can't be bothered to take all the panels off and that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to surface mount a lot of this stuff, tape it up so it's not flapping about in the wind and that kind of stuff, so it's safe. And if you have to do a full installation, I reckon it's going to take you about 1 hour and 30 minutes. But I'm cheating just for the sake of speed, and I don't want to take all my other stuff off the bike. So the nice thing is with this unit is that for the cameras front and rear, they've actually got marked on here which cable goes to which. So you've got this one is the rear camera and then that one is the front camera, so you cannot mistake which camera gets connected to which. So you've got the power cable there as well. And what we're going to do in relation to mounting this onto the bike, now I'm not going to use either the 1-inch ball, which they kindly sent me to have a look at. I'm not going to use that, so that's an accessory which we're not using. We're not going to use the standard bracket that they supply to you with the N1 Pro, so I'm not going to use that one. It's stuck on my thumb, get that off. So we're not going to use that. What we're going to use is the accessory, the ARC accessory, £27. So we're going to take the bracket off the back with the damping system, with those rubber grommets, pop that one on the back, and then I will be able to mount that onto the navigation bar which sits above the TFT. So that's going to sit right in front of me, and I reckon that screen's going to be absolutely brilliant at that 6 inches of visibility. So I'm really looking forward to using that. In relation to how we're going to mount the cameras, so the cameras, they're exactly the same. I don't think there's any difference. There's no front and rear on them, so it doesn't really matter which camera goes where, and the camera cables are exactly the same length, so that's not a problem. So they're going to be mounted, and then the rear camera, there's just an extension cable to bring the feed to the display unit itself. So that's the only extension cable that you've got. In relation to mounting the cameras onto the bike, I did previously do a video for the K7. That's a 2K dash cam system, really good actually, and I'm going to mount these cameras exactly where I mounted those. So One camera is going to go on here. This is a lovely little place to mount it on there. So that's going to go on here. And then the rear camera is going to go on the mounting place for the rear left-hand indicator. Very simple. So you can either mount it two ways. If you haven't got a permanent fixture to screw into, then you can use the 3M tape method and then use the U-shaped bracket to then hug the camera and keep it secure, or you can use the block and then screw the block into a permanent fixture, and then that becomes a permanent fixture, and then the U-shaped bracket then goes around the camera and then connects to that block. So that's what I'm going to use because I know it does work. So two ways to secure them to your bike. So that's that bit. And then finally, in relation to, or nearly finally in relation to the power, I would suggest when you're doing any kind of electrical work, if you've got a fuse supplied with your power cable, as we have in this case, then just remove the fuse whilst you're connecting the wire, and then when everything's connected and you're confident that everything's connected properly, pop the fuse back in and then turn the bike on and then see if the unit powers up. But yeah, I would recommend take the fuse out of any power cables that you've got before you're ready to turn the ignition on and power the device up. And then we will put the front and rear tire pressure monitor system things onto the front and rear valves. And then the last thing we need to do is just update the software. So software wise, FAT32 is the format for the card, and if you're doing the software update, it's all explained on the website, very simple to follow. Then you can use a card no bigger than 32 gigabytes, but formatted to FAT32. And then once you've done that, take the card out, and then you can pop a 256 gigabyte card, SD card in. And in my case, I've only got 128 gigs. So pop that into the port at the bottom there, SD port, and then that then means you can then record the dash cameras for evidence or whatever you want to use their footage for, and it will loop. It operates on the loop system, so when you run out of card space, it goes back to the beginning and then starts to overwrite all the footage you've got on the SD card, unless you've protected it. But more of that when we do a little bit of a demo ride. I think that's it, folks. Should take you no more than 1 hour 30 minutes, as we've said. So without further ado, let's pull that on that. Well, that's it. The installation is complete, and yes, folks, I have cheated because I couldn't be bothered to take off the panels for the BMW R1250GS and do a full and tidy installation. If you need to do that, it's going to take you about 2 hours, but with the surface mounted installation that I've done for speed and convenience to get the video out there to you folks, if you're looking at buying one of these, it's taken me no more than 45 minutes. So what have I done then? So the process for installing it, very simple. So we've already spoken about that accessory mount that you can get to allow you to mount the lovely 6-inch display above the TFT on the BMW on the navigation bar. I think it's the 12 to 13 millimeter bracket for that arc bracket. So yeah, take the windscreen off and then just attach the arc bracket onto the back of the unit, and then attach it to the navigation bar, and then adjust accordingly to your height. And in relation to the bottom of the 6-inch display, yeah, no problems. I'm 5'9" and sat on the bike, no problems at all in viewing the top of the TFT, the menu bar on the TFT, no problems at all, but just adjust it accordingly. Cameras then, very nice position, mounting position on the front here, and again I've just used the screws and the blocks. You have the option to use the 3M tape if you haven't got a screw point, so I've just found a nice position on here, and I've just surface mounted the cabling. The waterproof connectors are very nice high quality, and in relation to the rear camera, I've just mounted it to the rear left-hand indicator. If I was going to do it properly, I would suspect I would mount it to the carrier that I have got on the back of the bike, but you'll find your own positions depending on what kind of bike you've got. And then just connected the rear camera to the display unit using the extension cable that they supply to you. So very, very simple. And obviously just remember to take the little protective cover from the lenses, otherwise you're not going to get a nice quality video picture. And then just make sure that the INNOVV is facing upwards for correct orientation of the video picture. So that's the cameras, that's the screen. In relation to the power supply, well, I've just, obviously I did say just take the fuse out of the fuse holder, always a good thing to do that. And then I've just removed the side panel from the BMW to give me access to the battery. And then what you should do is remove the negative terminal first, followed by the positive terminal, and then connect the positive cable, the red cable first, screw that all up, and then lastly connect the negative cable onto the negative, or the black cable onto the negative part of the battery, and then screw that up as well. Once you've done that, that's all good, that's all tidy. And then the other thing in relation to the switch live cable, that's the yellow cable. I already know on the BMW, under the front seat, there is a selection of wires, and I've just tapped into the red and the blue wire. So I'm already tapped into that with a switch live, which is the white wire you can see here for another system. So all I've done, I've just used a, what do they call it, a posi tap or something. I'll put a picture up here of what they're called. Always handy to have one of those. So I've just piggybacked off of that white wire. So that's where the yellow wire gets tapped into using those connectors. And then that means when the ignition is switched on, it's only when it's switched on then that power is then able to flow and turn on the very nice 6-inch display. So that is everything set up in relation to the bike. I know I've cheated, but I just wanted to get on the bike. But it's a very simple process to install it. Just take your time. And the only thing I need to do is just fit a 256 gigabyte card maximum into the SD card slot on the bottom. That's a little bit fiddly actually. I've only got 128 gigabyte card, but it will take a 256. So just pop that in on the bottom of the card, bottom of the display. What I would suggest whenever you're working on these kind of things is just put a little cloth under the device itself, and that way when you come to put the tiny little screws back in under here, because it is a little bit fiddly, if you do lose one of those screws, it's just going to drop down onto the cloth. So that is a top tip from me. So yeah, put the SD card in, put the rubber seal in, and then finally put the metal piece in, and it's countersunk, so just make sure the countersunk is the right way round so the screws fit nice and flush, and don't tighten it up too much. And I think that is pretty much the whole unit now fitted and ready to go. Well, nearly ready to go. A couple of things you need to do first is obviously make sure you put the fuse back into the fuse holder, otherwise nothing is going to happen when you turn the ignition on. Secondly, just make sure that the cameras are in the correct position, so don't tighten them fully at this stage. Turn the ignition on, have a look at the cameras front and rear. When you're happy with them, having adjusted them if need be, then finally then secure them. Then you are good to go, so you know the cameras are in the correct position. Then if you want to update the software, there is no app that you can download onto your mobile phone whatsoever. So INNOVV haven't got an app to talk to the 6-inch display, so that's not an option for updating the software or for viewing the footage that is on the dash cams. You either have to view the footage via playback on the screen or take the SD card out and then pop it into a computer and view it that way. So if you want to update the software, very simple, go onto the INNOVV website using an SD card no more than 32 gigabytes, formatted to FAT32, drop the update software onto the card and then follow the instructions, inserting it into the unit itself, and it should take no more than 2 or 3 minutes. Yes, the good old TPMS, tyre pressure monitoring system. So before we get on the bike and ride out into the sunset, what we need to do is just pair the sensors to the N1 Pro. So that is an accessory that you can get for the N1 Pro, but not the N1. So the sensors, one for the front, one for the rear, about 2 centimeters in diameter, and the front one is marked A, the rear one is marked B. Very simple to install and pair. So what you need to do is remove the dust caps from the front and rear, and then you have a locking nut and then the sensor itself. So just put the locking nuts on first, obviously, and then screw, but let's start with the front one, screw the sensor down onto the valve itself. And when you do screw the sensor onto the valve, the air pressure then turns it on for a period of time. I don't know how long it is, but if you've got it on there too long, then it will switch itself off. So I suspect it will switch itself off anyway. So the action of screwing the sensor down onto the valve stem, I believe, then turns it on, and then it will be sending out a signal and then when you go through the pairing process, the N1 Pro will find it, and then it will complete the pairing process. So screw it down onto the valve, and then go to the settings page. So obviously turn it on, go to the settings page, go to the air pressure page, and you will see it will say start on the right hand side. So press start, and then the system will go through the pairing process. When it's paired with the front, it will come up with the tire pressures, and then you do the same for the rear. So that action of screwing the sensor down onto the valve turns the sensor on, and then it will send the signal from the sensor to the N1 Pro, and then it will complete the pairing process. And then you can just set Fahrenheit or Celsius or bar or PSI, and you can set higher and upper lower levels, so you can go and play with that. But very simple to install. That will take you no more than 5 minutes, and then before you ride off into the sunset, just make sure that the locking nut and the sensor are nice and secure. And when it comes to putting air into your tyre, you're going to have to undo the locking nut and then tighten it up once you've finished. So you may just want to keep the supplied spanner, the small spanner, with you in your toolkit. If you're on the home screen, you can also just tap on the tyre pressure information to give you quick access to the tyre pressure monitoring system settings, just like this. Voila. So let's have a look at the very nice 6-inch display. What I will say from the start, I've only had this unit for about 10 days or so, and in the 10 days I've had it, I have noticed that the supplied screen protector, it looks like it's been on there for about 10 years. It does really show the scratches. So hopefully if they do one of these screen protectors as an accessory, which they said to me they will be doing, then I hope the quality of that is better than the one that is on here currently. So when you've got the unit switched on, it has no detrimental effect whatsoever. It's just when it's switched off, it looks a bit, yeah. Okay, so let's turn the unit on. I've already got my phone with the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth on, so it normally takes about 20 seconds or so for the CarPlay to connect to the display unit itself. So what we're going to do is have a quick look at the home page. There we go, the home page. So what I will say is I do hope in a future software update, they just make the tyre pressure readings on the top and the temperature a little bit easier to see, different background or slightly bigger, and maybe the same for the time and date. But this is the home screen. Red flashing dot means the cameras are recording onto the SD card. So first thing we're going to do is just format the SD card. I've already done it anyway, just show you what to do. So there we go, that's about 20 odd seconds for CarPlay to connect. So let me just touch that button, go home. And what we're going to do is just go to settings and just format the SD card. So just scroll across and we'll just touch the format SD card. I've already done it, so I don't need to do it. And then you can set the brightness to a high, middle or low. So let's go back to the home screen. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is just format the SD card. And in relation to settings, just make sure there's nothing else there we need to look at. Yeah, the link show, I'll show you that at the end. And basically that's a way in the CarPlay screen for you to actually put the dash cam feed onto the CarPlay screen. I don't know why you'd use it. I wouldn't want to use it. I've used it already, and it just reduces the size of your usable CarPlay screen. So no idea why you want to use that, but that function is there anyway. So next thing I'm going to go is the dash cam. Go to the settings. And then basically what you need to do is, if you want the microphone switched on, switch it on. There is no loudspeaker, so when you review footage on here, you're not going to get any sound from it. You only get sound when you take the SD card out and put it onto your computer. Loop recording, everybody seems to set it at 3 minutes. I am no different. And then back camera mirror, if you don't activate this, then basically if you use this as a rear view camera, if you're standing to the left, if I'm a cyclist on the left hand side, then this will show me on the right hand side. So I would suggest you turn that on to give you a true reflection, excuse the pun, of what is going on behind you. So at the moment, let's have a look. So that's the rear view camera. So I'm on the left hand side of the bike. So there we are. I'm a pedal cyclist coming up on the left, and that's true. That's a true representation of what's going on. Go back to settings. So if I went to back camera mirror and turn that off, I'll stand in the same position again, and let's have a look. So there we go. So I'm standing on the left hand side of the bike, and there we go. It looks as though I'm on the right hand side of the bike. So if you want to use it as a rear view mirror, then just make sure that that is switched on. So let's put that on then. So that is on. So that's something you should be doing. And what else? Loop recording we've done. We've got the microphone switched on. And anything else on there? Let's have a look. I think, folks, that really is about it from there. So just in relation to the dash cam footage, very simple. If you want to have a look at what you've got on there, so you can go to review your footage, and you'll see it in the right hand margin. So you've got at the top, you've got video footage highlighted in red, stills footage, and anything that you've padlocked so it can't be overwritten by the loop system. When you run out of SD space, the recording goes back to the start, and then we'll just start to overwrite anything that you've got. If you've put the padlock on it, then it will not overwrite this stuff. So let's go, what we can do, let me just show you, let me just delete those two files. That's deleted and that's deleted. There we go. So let's go back to the footage on the dash cam. So that one ends in 16, and what is it? That's the one at the front, and that one ends in 10. So what I can do is just select the padlock, and then that will actually save that into the, there we go, so that saved it into there, and so that cannot be overwritten. I hope that makes sense, and you can delete it if you want to. If you want to play anything, you can just scroll down. Let's get something a bit more interesting. It's a little bit slow to scroll down, but I guess it is actually reading the footage off the SD card. So let me just see what we've got on there then. So that's still in the garage. Yeah, I've just scrolled down to find something a bit interesting. So there we go, found that footage. Just press the play, and then it will just, you can play the footage. So that's somewhere earlier today, and just go to full screen so you can watch the footage, but there's no audio coming from it. What I will say though is it is a little bit slow just to scroll up and down to get the right footage, but that you can review it anyway. So really that's all you need to know about that. Yeah, if you want to protect a file, then you just highlight it and then hit it with a padlock, and then it's saved. Another thing you can do is just scroll from left to right or right to left, and it'll just take you through various presentations for the dash cam themselves. So that's the dash cam basically. Let's go back home, let's go to settings, and let's just go to the link show. So no idea why you want to use this, folks. So basically you can put the dash cam footage, or the dash cam view, sorry, onto the CarPlay. So let's go for let's just go for the rear one, shall we? So the rear camera footage will be imposed onto the CarPlay section. Get my words right here. So press confirm. There we go. Rear. Confirm. There we go. So it'll just reboot itself. It's rebooted itself, so let's just wait for CarPlay to connect. So that's CarPlay connected then. So yeah, you can see here, you just got the rear view mirror on there that I selected, and I have no idea why you'd want to use that. No idea at all. Not something I'd want to use, and it just reduces the size of your CarPlay screen, which, I don't know, what's the point of having a 6-inch screen when it reduces it like that? So I certainly wouldn't use that facility, but I thought I'd show you anyway. Yes, finally, I hear you say it's a long video, apologies, but if you're looking at spending something in the region of £400 for the display, the sensors and any brackets, then I just thought you'd want as much information as possible before you pull the pin and purchased a very, very good product from INNOVV. In relation to all of these devices, whether it be INNOVV or any of the other brands on the market at the moment, basically they are a smart device which mirrors what is on your mobile phone onto the screen. So if your battery on your phone dies, then it can't display what's on your phone onto the display because the phone is dead. So it's not a standalone GPS unit. So when your phone dies, then whatever was going from the phone onto the screen dies as well. So just make sure you've got the ability to keep your phone charged up via USB cable or a power bank or something like that. So you need to be aware of that. It is pretty much a permanent / semi-permanent fix to the bike. In relation to theft of it, certainly on the BMW, good luck for any opportunist thief who wants to steal it, because I had to take the screen off to get access to the screws at the back of the display there. So I think on the BMW, absolutely no problems at all, really. And any other bike, you should be pretty much okay from a theft point of view. But obviously, if somebody's determined, they will nick it, and they'll have to cut the cables and all that kind of stuff. Things that they could improve on: the screen protector, for one, that is installed on it when it leaves the factory. It has marked very easily, and I've only had it for 10 days or so, and it looks like it's been on there for 10 years, as I said in the video. So I am aware that they are looking at having screen protectors as an accessory. So hopefully, as I'm sure INNOVV will do, like all their stuff, it will be a very good high quality screen protector when they put that one out to the market. I would also like to see on the display, because there's times when you're going to jump on the bike, just nip to the shops, and you don't want the display on. So it would be nice to have just a simple on-off display button, so you could just kill the display, but it would still be working in the background with the cameras and stuff. But yeah, just the ability to actually permanently turn off or turn off the display until you want it again. That would be nice. I know there's something you can do something in the system which you touched on in the video, but that happens all the time. So it would just be nice to have, yes, I want to turn the screen off now, and just touch a button, whether it be on the screen or a button on the side, would be lovely. Personal thing, I don't like the name INNOVV at the bottom of it. It's in my face all the time. I'm not a great lover of that. And finally then, it has taken, sometimes it sort of connects from my phone to the unit very quickly. The average is about 20 seconds, and it has taken way longer than 20 seconds. So maybe, I don't know if I've got a duff iPhone 14 Pro Max, I'm not sure, but it can take a while to connect to the display. And the SD card can be a little bit awkward to get in and out due to the deep recess. So I would say that is all the, I'm not going to call them negative points, but room for improvement kind of points, shall we call it. Now, in relation to the positive points, of which there are quite a few. I've been fortunate enough to ride my bike with lots of these different screens on, ranging from 5 inches up to 7 inches. And I have to say, INNOVV have come up with the perfect size screen. 6 inches is the absolute sweet spot. It's just a really good size for using it with your gloved hand. It just works really well. So even on the left hand side on the CarPlay screen, where you've got those icons, yeah, it just makes it easier to select any of those icons that you want to select. So 6 inches is the absolute perfect size. Not too big and not too small. So that's a really good point, INNOVV. I like that. The quality of build from INNOVV, very good. Just really that screen protector that we spoke about a little while ago. But yeah, really well made, and the quality is just very good. But I have to say that 6-inch screen is excellent. It really is good, and the touchscreen facility does work very well. I like it a lot. If I was going to grade it, I would give it a real good solid 8 out of 10. Well, that's it. I can get rid of my notes now. We have come to the end of part 1. I'm going to put my riding kit on, go for a ride, and do part 2. That's only going to be a 10-minute video. We've covered everything in part 1 that you need to know about the INNOVV N1 Pro. So part 2, I'm just going to show you what the footage from the dash cams is like, and also just show you what the screen is like when we're out and about riding on the bike. Guys, you've been amazing. What can I say? It has been, I think this is my longest video, but you're spending a lot of money. You need to know what the product is like. It is a solid, as I said, 8 out of 10. Thank you. Do all that. Put the thumbs up, put the thumbs down if you want to. It doesn't bother me. Make some comments in the comment section down below, and click that subscription button and all that YouTube stuff. Yeah, ride safe, and I'm going to go and do part 2. Cheerio for now.